See, my God gives me everything, guys. You have to understand that today God gave me the ability to be able to go with my mum to Petrovac, and Petrovac is near Budva in Crna Gora, which is Montenegro. And the thing is that I've been speaking to God recently, and I cried. I cried recently with God because God understands me and God wants me to do better. But the thing is that I've been letting myself down, and that's why I've been crying. I've been crying because I really want to do better for myself, but my actions are not speaking louder than words. You understand? So the only thing that I can do right now is show you the way, and then you be someone of a teacher of your own who can teach yourself everything about life. But recently my mum's been happy and she's been taking me out, and that's like God taking me out for a drink and taking me out and stuff like that. But for example, you have to share sometimes. You have to understand that when you have money, let your mum boss you around, in terms of let your parents boss you around about your money. You understand? Let them manage your money for you. You have to let people do that for you. You have to let other people manage your money. You understand? Because if you resist, and if you don't allow people to manage your money for you, then you have to understand that you're resisting something. You understand? So never resist anything. Try to let things be. And try to always develop a strength about you every single day. Learning, growing, being the best version of yourself every single day, trying to do something special for yourself, working remotely every single day. But God understands me. God understands that all I can do is information. I can do information work. And now information work is all about something that's never physical. Yes, and because you have to understand something, that physicality is part of life, but you don't need physicality to live life. You have to understand that you need to be a spiritual person living in a human body, or a spiritual being living in a human body, to embody yourself and envision a greater you. I apologize. So, for example, God recently told me, Danny, I want you to do better. I want you to go places. I want you to see things. And he's been taking me out. So today I had a great day because I went to the Ostrog over here in Crna Gora, which is a Sveti Vasil kind of dictionary here. In terms of, he's a saint. He's a saint, and his name is Sveti Vasil. And it's the monastery of Montenegro, which is up on the hills, which is up on the mountain. And there's a church built on the mountain in Montenegro. And I went there, and me and my mum walked. It was very hot, and I got something for my dad. I got something for Mira Kunyaich. And now, who is Mira Kunyaich? She is just a friend to me, but she's like my mother, to be honest. She pays for things for me. She does things for me, you understand? She goes above and beyond for me. And you have to be nice about everything, do you understand? Because the thing is that you must never gossip, and that's what my mom taught me. She told me never gossip about people, you understand? Never try to talk behind people's backs in a negative way, you understand? So my mom, for example, gossips a lot. She gossips, but she doesn't want to admit it, you understand? But she tells me don't gossip, you understand? And the thing is that it's true, you must never gossip. You have to understand that gossip means when you talk about people in a negative way, you understand? In terms of when you don't think good for people, you understand? That's gossiping. So when you're not thinking good for people, you're not thinking good for yourself. So you have to understand that you have to approach life in a way that you think in a way of vitality and strength and charisma and enthusiasm and confidence and courage. But I see a lot of people have girlfriends these days. They have a wife. They have kids. It's something that I want in my life. But God hasn't given that to me yet. And now God wanted me to have that in my life, but I wasn't prepared to have it. I was never prepared for it. You understand? I was never someone who can stand up and provide for my family. You understand? I was always unable to provide for my family. Do you understand? And why is that? I promise you, it's because I never worked a 9 to 5 job. I never kept a 9 to 5 job in my life. But God says to me, Danny, I want you to have all that. I want you to have health. I want you to have a beautiful life with a beautiful woman, to have beautiful kids, to go travel places, to do things. I mean, yes, then God wants everything for me. So God's going to give me what I deserve. Do you understand? Sometimes God gives people what they deserve in terms of God doesn't give them kids, but God gives them something else. I mean, you have to understand that if you don't have kids, it's because you have something else that God needs you to be doing in this life. So, for example, God knows that I cannot do construction work. You see, I can do construction work in terms of spirituality. I can coach people, spirituality. Yes, and that's my profession. I mean, that's what I study about. I always read about spirituality and psychology and social working and nutrition, confidence, work, charisma work, enthusiasm work. I mean, being able to talk with people, being able to understand people, being able to see two sides of the coin. You know, I understand the yin and yang. I understand the Tao Te Ching, for example. I mean, the Bible of Jesus Christ. I preach all that stuff. Do you understand? But the thing is that I stand for it. I stand for all that. And God wants me to do my work. I mean, God wants me to do something in life. You understand? He wants me to be able to go and perform at my best. So I do miss busking performances. I do want to do some busking performances when I come back to Sydney. But the thing is that Sydney is far away from me right now. And do I want to go back? I promise you no. I want to stay with my mum. You understand? Because it's been ages since I've seen my mum. But the thing is that my mum's been taking me out places and I enjoy it. Do you understand? And it's like God's taking me out for a treat. Because for 5 years, I went through hell. I went through a big improvement in myself. And then I fell. And I gained all this wisdom. Do you understand? And I just want to teach you that. I mean, all you can really teach in life is wisdom, guys. So sometimes you have to be away from your family to do your work. Do you understand? Because sometimes people don't understand you the way you understand yourself. You understand? I mean, sometimes people don't want to understand you. You understand? And why is that? I promise you it's because different people have different tastes. I mean, you understand? I mean, people want to understand you really, but sometimes they get ignorant about you. You understand? And that's what you have to understand, that God wants for me what He wants for you. You understand? So God's working through me so that I can teach you, which is through God, which I teach through God. And you have to understand I teach a lot of things that God wants me to teach. You understand? Because I speak to God on a daily basis. And now, my mom taught me something today. She told me, hey, when you go Seti Vasid, when you see the saint, say a prayer for all your family. And I didn't do that. You understand? And I said a prayer for myself. I said I want health. I want a wife. I want kids. I want to be safe. I mean, take care of me. You understand? Take care of everything that I am. Help me to live a better life. You understand? I was just thinking about me. You understand? I wasn't thinking about my family. And my mom said, I said a prayer for your cousin, for example. So my cousin right now is in jail. And she said a prayer for my cousin up there. But my mom taught me something. I mean, you must never ever say a prayer just for yourself. You understand? Teach yourself to say a prayer for others, so that you can help yourself to be selfless like that. You be selfless in a way that you teach, but you also speak exactly what's on your mind. And that way you do better. Yes, and so you have to always be teaching something You always have to be doing something in regards to helping yourself to grow. But that's why it's worth it. You understand? It's worth to have something in life that's worth speaking about. But the thing is that I see just plenty of people have girlfriends these days. They have a woman. I mean, a woman stands by them. You understand? I mean, I don't have that. You understand? I don't have a woman standing by me. You understand? But Jesus Christ tells me here, be strong. I mean, be strong regardless. You understand? I mean, stand alone. I mean, if no woman wants to stand with you, I promise you, if no man wants to stand with you, then stand alone and be strong in yourself to understand that you never need them. You understand? You never need a woman if she never wants to be with you. You never need a man if they never want to be with you. I mean, you understand? So, if no woman wants to give you sex, if no woman wants to give you a baby, I promise you, if no man wants to give you a baby, if no man wants to give you sex, then you don't need it. You understand? What you need is God. You understand? You need God in your life. And the more you talk to God, the more you can teach. You understand? The more you can do things, the more you can go places. So I've been working my ass off for the past 5 years. And how have I been working my ass off? I've been working spiritually. Spiritually, I've been teaching a lot. And even though that seems like a lot of work that I've done, it's nothing. I'm pretty sure it's nothing compared to what Jesus Christ has done. You understand? But the thing is that I'm teaching what Jesus Christ is doing, and I'm trying to do more than Jesus Christ. You understand? I'm trying to reflect the Bible to you in different ways. I'm trying to teach you life skills. I'm trying to help you to grow. I'm trying to do something to succeed. I'm helping myself just be, for example. So that's why I find myself interesting, and I find a better life for myself this way. So it's much more how my mum, for example, you can always see what she's doing, you can hear what she's doing, and it's more how she's struggling in life. I can say my mum's really struggling because she's smoking a lot of cigarettes. She's not looking too good, but she wants to give me an experience. In a sense, so that's what a mother truly does. That even when a mother is falling down, she tries to pick up her kid, and she tries to give everything of herself to give her kid that experience that he needs or she needs. And that's what a father does as well. The father or mother in life, regardless of how they're doing, try to make the best world for their kid. You understand? and that's so selfless. That's teaching yourself to give of yourself something. You understand? So, for example, the government of Australia is giving me money. I'm giving it to my mum. You understand? But my mum's giving me more than I'm giving her. You understand? But I'm giving my mum even more than that, but she doesn't want to receive it. Yeah, and how isn't she wanting to receive it is because I did a lot of work spiritually. I did a lot of teachings. I gave a lot of teachings, and she doesn't want to read it. She has no time for it. She doesn't want to understand her son like that. She doesn't want to go through all that knowledge that I've given. Do you understand? And she doesn't see exactly my road. You understand? She sees some parts of me where I'm going, but she doesn't understand exactly where I'm going. You understand? I'm going the spiritual way. You understand? Because the physical body that I'm living in right now is dying. I understand that. But my spiritual being, in terms of something that's out of this world, exists in the present moment and is also something that reflects God, and it helps people to really, really succeed. Do you understand? Because that's what you have to be all about. You have to be all about succeeding and making sure that you're every day doing something along the lines of success and helping people to succeed. You understand? So, for example, a lot of people are wasting time. I mean, they're not doing much. You understand? And it's more how when someone wants to give you something for free, make sure you receive it. You understand? And make sure that you understand that sometimes you can really realize who your true friend. I mean, you can really realize who your true friends are. You understand? But you have to ask. Sometimes you have to understand. You have to ask for what you want, because the only way to survive in this world is through people. You understand? Because if you don't ask questions, and if you don't stand up for yourself, and if you don't speak up, then people will never know what you want out of life, and God will never know what you want. You understand? But if you ask God, you have to ask God for everything that you want. You understand? So if you ask God, you have to ask people, because only God can do it through people. You understand? God can give you everything through people. You understand? So how did millionaires become millionaires? They asked to be a millionaire. You understand? It's so simple. They asked somebody to give them the money. You understand? So the millionaires or people, just like me and you, everyone that's average, everyone that's normal, everyone that grew up without money in life, went to someone to ask for money and became a millionaire. It's so simple. For sure, all you have to do is go to the banks, get yourself a loan, and guess what? Probably get yourself a real estate, and then you can be a millionaire really quickly. It's so simple. But the thing is that since the prices are rising, you understand, the economy is falling down, wars going on in the world, you understand, and the price of living is going up, and the wages are going up, and the wages are going down as well. I mean, it's not a good situation in all countries. Do you understand? Because the price of living is going up much more than the wages. Do you understand? People are working harder for money that's going into zero. You understand? So you have to understand that people work like horses. They work to live life. You understand? They try to survive through life by working. Like, for example, I could never, ever work in a construction site. It's just not for me. But I can always work in a construction site via speaking words. You understand? I can do something that's easy for me to do, but I cannot do what's hard. You understand? I mean, you have to understand that I can do anything I set my mind to. You understand? I can do anything I set my mind to. But the thing is that I don't want to put physical ways of life in my life. I want to go spiritual. You understand? So, for example, physicality is part of you. And it's something that you have to do every single day. You have to walk, you have to talk, you have to move around, you understand? You have to grow. And the thing is that you just have to do smarter work in the planet every single day. You have to be able to grow, you have to be able to do things every single day, like never procrastinating, making sure you're doing your work. But a lot of people are not doing their work. Apparently, they're not doing anything. I'm pretty sure what they're doing is taking care of the kids. I'm pretty sure they're trying to work a 9-to-5 job just to live life. You understand? But that's not a life. I'm pretty sure that's not a life. I'm pretty sure what a life is, I understand, is something that really grows. I'm pretty sure when you're growing in life and when you are really existing in the moment and when you're doing things in the moment where you can breathe fully. See, so my mum just came in the room to ask what I'm doing, and is it hot in the room? I mean, what? And I just said to her, yeah, it's not hot in the room. I just said to her that there's a lot of, what are those things called? I mean, mosquitoes going around. So I said to her to please close the door. And she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing my life coaching and stuff like that. And she's like, okay. And yeah, so that's my mum. I mean, you have to understand that spiritually I can go anywhere, but you know what? I want to have all the sex in the world with this beautiful woman. You understand? But the thing is that I wanted to go spiritual. I want to talk to them spiritually. You understand? And I want to touch them spiritually. I want to feel their heart. I want to grow with them, you understand? I want to provide for them, you understand? I want to be a man, do you understand? I want to grow myself into a man with a deeper voice and with more money in my pocket and with more health, you understand? I want to grow the tree, you understand? I want to grow everyone's tree. And I want to give people money. I want to give people tips. My mum always taught me, give a tip. Give a tip to the bartender. Give him €1, €2 a max. €2. You understand? I mean, give him like $2 a max. You understand? Each and every single time, give them one or two euros for their tip and stuff like that. Just so that you can understand that you have to be giving back. You understand? And that's what my mum does for me. She gives back to me. Do you understand? She gives back to the world through me. And then I give back to you through what I have in terms of what I can give. But my mum's information goes directly to me and directly to those closest to her. And that's how she passes information across, do you understand? So the thing is that you have to pass off information. And that's like playing catch and go, you understand? I mean, the more you catch, the more you can go. And the more you can really, really exist in life, and the more you can actually be someone that's really, really coaching yourself to do a greater job for yourself, do you understand? So when you're going through life, you actually just grow in the moment and you really live life. You coach yourself the best things in life. You grow and make sure every single day that you always have something to say. But when I look today at people, I'm just looking at them and I'm just saying, wow, I wish you guys have a YouTube channel. I wish you guys were doing more on social media. I wish you guys were doing more spiritual work, you understand? Because that's what God wants for you as well. You understand? He wants you to grow spiritually. He wants you to have a YouTube channel. He wants you to go out there and spread a lot of words in the planet. He wants you to build a great legacy for yourself. And even if nobody listens, I promise you it's gonna go up on the internet, and then you just make sure you're uploading everything to the internet. You understand? Because that's how you grow. You grow through the best things in life. So, for example, God hasn't given me a woman yet, and He's been trying to give me a woman, but the thing is that I couldn't receive it. I couldn't receive a woman in my life. You understand? And why? I mean, I was unaware. I mean, so many women were in my life. I mean, you understand? And I was unable to pick up one woman to just stay with her to build a kid or to build something much more with those people. I was not ready, yes, and am I ready today? I'm much more ready now than I ever was. Yes, and I'm much more of a man today. I'm much more capable of receiving a woman today than ever before. But my next woman that I get a chance to be with, you understand, like, once I get that chance, and once I get that opportunity to be a man, once and for all, I'm going to take the opportunity, do you understand? I'm going to be able to grow, do you understand? And I'm going to be able to do things. But the thing is that I have to be alone, do you understand? Because the thing is that I have to start building a family, you understand? And that's going to be me going alone. I have to go alone for that. You understand? Because it doesn't just happen. You understand? You have to make it happen. You understand? The thing is that everything that people have in life is because they created it. You understand? I mean, that guy has 12 kids because he went for it. You understand? He told himself yes. He wants that for himself and he provides for that. You understand? So I admire that. I mean, that guys are stronger than me, for example. I mean, there are a lot of people stronger than me physically, but they're not stronger than me spiritually. Like, for example, I'm the strongest person in the universe when we're talking spiritually. Yes, and I never get offended by words. I only grow from people. I'm a fast learner. I can communicate clearly. Yes, and I can do whatever I want spiritually. But physically, I tie myself down. Yes, and my physical world is dying. You understand? And I see that. So what's going to happen in my life if I continue to do the things that I'm doing today physically? Then the thing is that my body's going to pass away very soon. You understand? So the thing is that spiritually I'm here forever. And you can never tie me down spiritually. Do you understand? Because I can grow, baby. Yes, I grow fast. I grow quickly. I coach myself every single day. I mean, everything I've said in life came for a reason. You understand? But the thing is now when I look at people, I see they have a woman. I see they have kids. I see they have a better body build than me. You understand? I realize I'm lacking a lot in life, but I'm lacking nothing spiritually. I'm not lacking spiritually. You understand? Because each and every single person has to respect you. You understand? Regardless of how you look. You understand? They have to respect you, to have a good attitude. You understand? They have to be positive about you, to have an enthusiastic life. So if someone's treating you negatively or if someone's harming you negatively, it's because they do that to themselves. You understand? So for example, I see a lot of beautiful women that I want to be with. But the thing is that it's just not my reality. You understand? It's just not the right time. You understand? But the thing is that God's working a miracle in my life. And God's saying, hey, I'm sending you here. I'm sending you here. I'm sending you here. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. And eventually something in life happens. And that's because God created it for you. And that situation that you take advantage of it. And then you have what you want because God is working behind the scenes for you right now. You understand? God's putting the people in your life. God's putting those places in your life because it's there for a reason. So that you can grow from it. So that you can learn from it. So that you can be someone much more from it. You understand? And this is what other people teach you as well. I mean, it's nothing new, to be honest. I mean, everything I'm teaching you here is nothing new. You understand? People have been practicing this stuff for ages. You understand? But the thing is that it's just my wisdom now. I mean, this is my wisdom. I mean, it's not because of me referencing someone who said it. Apparently, it's not. Apparently, it's me experiencing this. You understand? I'm experiencing this type of lifestyle. And now, any chance I get, I want to go with my mother. Any chance I have to be with my mother, I will. I will be with her. But the thing is that eventually I want to be alone. Yes, I want to be alone. And I want to be alone faster than ever. I want to be faster than ever alone. Apparently, yes, I want to just go alone. Because that's the time for me to procreate, do you understand? When I'm alone. But when I'm with my mum, I have to live with my mum. And then she's going to hold my hand. And the thing is that she's going to always be with me, and I won't have opportunity to go out there and make a family for myself. Do you understand? Because that's what God's saying. Do you understand? God's telling me over here that there's an opportunity where I can meet someone along the way, where I'm working on a 9-to-5 job and living with my mum, for example, and working on a 9-to-5 job over there and overseas and stuff like that. But I won't be alone. That's the thing. I mean, it's either be alone or with my mum. I mean, what do I want more? Do you understand? I see for me, personally, I want to be alone. And I'm going to tell my mum very soon. And she's going to ask me, where do you want to go? I mean, do you want to come with me or do you want to be alone over there in Australia? And I'll just say I want to be alone in Australia for some time. I want to give me some time over here to be alone. And why is that? Because I'm trying to create a family for myself. But I can do it as long as I set my mind to it. I mean, it's easy to find a girl on the bus somewhere or anywhere. I just look at her, I just start speaking to her and stuff like that, and we get along. But the thing is that I need to have my health, because the better I look, the better looks my girlfriend has. Do you understand? So if I'm 300 pounds fat, then I have to find a woman that's 300 pounds fat. You understand? So the thing is that you are what you eat. You understand? And how you look today is what you deserve in a woman as well, or a man. You understand? So for example, you are what you attract. You understand? So if you are on a low frequency, you're gonna attract a low frequency type of person. Do you understand? So you attract your frequency. So you have to vibrate really good. Yes, and you have to be vibrating. And I came to that place in my life where I was vibrating so much. I was vibrating so much love. I was vibrating so much empathy. I was vibrating so much love from within myself, and I was respecting myself 100% of the time. And I want to get myself back to that position. Do you understand? Because I understand how it feels. I understand it's a state of ecstasy. It's a state of consciousness that I reached in my life, and I broke everything. I broke all the habits in my life. Yes, and I started to really do good for myself when I was alone. Yes, and when I left my dad, I went around Australia, and I was really doing good for myself. Do you understand? And I wasn't working a 9 to 5 job, and I was going around Australia, and God was providing for me. You understand? God shows you the way, and He says go. He just says go, and you just go alone. You understand? But eventually, you have to understand that having a family ties you down. You understand? So it's a different life altogether. So I'm sure that my mum, in terms of life, once I have a family for myself, she's gonna try everything to be around me. You understand? She wants to be around me. You understand? So the thing is that she doesn't want to live alone. You understand? She wants to be around me. You understand? So there's always time and things and places that I can always grow from, and that I can always do things for myself, regardless of the situation. I can always find a place for myself to regard something for myself to actually grow. But there's always a place and time for that. So right now I'm having a good time over here in Petrovac, near Budva, Crna or Montenegro. There's a place called Budva, and it's just 12 kilometers from Budva. And Budva is around 60 kilometers away from Podgorica, which is the capital city of Montenegro. So I'm 60 kilometers away from Podgorica, which is the capital city of Montenegro. I'm in a region of Montenegro right now on the beach at the moment. I'm having fun. Yes, I'm having a good time. I'm doing my own things. I'm growing. I'm coaching myself. I'm doing things for myself. But the thing is that what I really love about life coaching and stuff like that is that I get to speak and nobody gets to reply to me. Yes, and you guys just get to listen to me. You understand? Because that way you understand me. When you listen to me, you understand me. But when you don't listen, you're always talking back to me. You understand? I want to talk to you without you needing to talk to me. You understand? Because that way you understand exactly what's coming out of my mouth. You understand? But when you're always asking me questions about things, then I'm always trying to reply to you. I'm always trying to do things for you. But the thing is that it's much more how, if you just listen, I can always get my message across to you. That's what I want to do. I just want to get my message across. You understand? So it's always a different situation now. I'm understanding God's trying to provide for me. God's trying to give me a life. You understand? God's trying to put the people in my life that are best for me at the moment. You understand? In this type of moment right now. But the life is like an uphill battle, and it's also a downhill battle. I mean, it's like a roller coaster. Yes, and I mean, life is like a roller coaster. Yes, and it's going up and down sometimes. You understand? But the thing is that if you really discipline yourself, you only go up. Yes, and you only ever go up. And then when you fall down, you're really growing. Yes, and you're really in a state of ecstasy. Do you know when a roller coaster goes downhill? And then you get to fly. I mean, you're just flying, and you have all this nice and beautiful joy inside of your body, because it's like you're parachuting. It's like you just jumped off a plane. Do you understand? And that's how I used to feel. I used to feel like that. Yes, I used to feel really good about myself. But now I don't feel good about myself these days. You understand? I feel good spiritually. So, I mean, spiritually, I'm feeling fantastic spiritually, but physically, I don't feel good. I don't feel good spirit. I feel good spiritually. I don't feel good physically. You understand? But the thing is that I can feel myself right now. I can feel. I do feel good. I do feel good. Do you understand? But that's my spiritual aspects that feels good. My physicality is dragging me down at the moment. Yes, and I have much more weight on me, and I have to lose the weight, and I can lose it. I understand I can, and there's a better time for that. There's something better coming. You understand? So God's gonna put me in a situation where I can have that happen for me. You understand? Where I can do much better for myself. But at the moment where I need to work for myself and where I need to make a living for myself out of the 9 to 5 job, you understand? And I need to be working, you understand? And these days, it's much more about that now. I mean, I'm much more maturing into that, you understand? I'm much more able to hold a 9 to 5 job now than ever before because I'm able to receive, you understand, something much greater for myself these days. I'm much more able to be a father now. I'm much more able to provide for my family now. I'm much more able to find a girlfriend now. You understand? I mean, I'm much more able to speak to a beautiful woman if I want to. You understand? I'm very confident in myself. I can say, hey, how you going? I just seen you from over there. I came to see how you are. I see you're very beautiful. I mean, do you have a boyfriend? I mean, do you understand? I mean, if you don't have a boyfriend, I mean, do you want to go for a drink sometime? You understand? I mean, are you sure? I mean, you sure I can really show you some drinks? I mean, I just put a joke out there, you know. I mean, do you understand? I mean, it's more how you have to realize something that with men and women, you have to be the one always shouting. You understand? You be the one always giving them. You understand? That's what I've learned from my mother. I mean, my mother has always had guys where she was never ever financed by the guys. I mean, she was always financing the guys. My mom is like a boy. I mean, my mom is like a man. Yes, and my mom is like a provider. I mean, yes, I mean, she's much more of, like a tomboy. Yes, and my mom's like a tomboy. She's very strong. Yes, and my mom's very strong. Yes, and she went through a hell and back. And you have to understand that she's always been providing for the guys that she was with. And today, her boyfriend today, I mean, I realized my mom's providing for him as well. Yes, and so the thing is that my mom is very smart. I mean, she marries someone, she gets papers for Europe. Yes, and that's how she made her papers for Croatia and for Europe and stuff like that. And the thing is that she has a house because she married someone and stuff like that. And she found somebody else, and then that person gave $60,000 for my mom to have a house to make sure that the bank doesn't take the house away. And she found herself much better off with having a partner in life. Do you understand? But my mom to be alone, I mean, it's very difficult for my mom to be alone. She needs someone. Do you understand? She needs a partner. You understand? But for myself, I can be alone. I mean, I have no problems being alone. I like to be alone. You understand? But when I'm too alone, I'm very frustrated when I'm too alone, then I feel like talking to myself. You understand? I feel like isolating myself. I don't feel like doing anything other than growing. Yes, and that's how I am. I mean, I don't need social connection with other people. Yes, and the thing is that there's a time and place for that, where you have to socially connect with other people sometimes. Do you understand? Just to feel loved by somebody else. Do you understand? But the thing is that it's much more how I have that love for myself. I don't need that love from other people. You understand? So the thing is that I really isolate myself really. So at the moment, do I miss my dad? I can tell you right now that I do miss that type of lifestyle that I used to have with my dad. You understand? And now, what type of lifestyle is that? I'm probably just going poker, being with my dad in the house, sitting down, slouching around, doing my work, you understand, doing things around my work and stuff like that. And like, you have to understand, it's more how eventually that's going away from me anyway. You understand? But I do miss that type of lifestyle where I used to do my work the way I was doing it with my dad. You understand? I had more time to read. I had more time to be alone. And I really treasure those moments, do you understand, where I'm alone with myself. You understand? Because that helps me to grow. But when you're too much around other people, it's really difficult to grow. You understand? It's not difficult to grow, but the thing is that you don't get a lot of reading into you. You have to be reading every single day for 1 hour. You have to find the time to read. You understand? So the thing is that I've been traveling a lot, and now through the traveling in life, you grow. You understand? You're growing as a person. You're seeing new places. You're experiencing new things. That's a nice thing. And right now, I'm experiencing a lot. I mean, a lot's happened since I seen my mum. I went to 3 castles. I went for a bushwalk with my mum. I went to Mostar. I went all the way, travelled from Germany to Mostar in terms of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Went through the Granice, which is where they stamp the passport, which is the gateway into the next country. And for example, went to McDonald's, went to these places like, for example, Bingo, these places like shopping malls and stuff like that. I went to 2 beaches recently and just been traveling by car. I went to church over here in Crna, which is the Ostrog Monastery, and Sveti Vasilij over here. And I went there, and it's much more how things happen, but my physical body is unable to, let's say, do much. Do you understand? I realize I'm pushing myself physically to walk around, to do all this, but my ankles started to hurt and stuff like that, and my ankles got fatter. Do you understand? And now I think they are gone slimmer a bit. I realize my ankles, I think, got skinnier a bit. But the thing is, it's much more how I've been eating like a pig. Do you understand? I've been eating like a pig, and I've been eating too much, and I have to do better. You understand? I have to grow myself into the person that I want to be. You understand? But eventually, I want to be alone for some time. I want to be alone. I want to just live my life on my own without anybody to tell me what to do about my life. Do you understand? And now, through that time, I'm going to be talking to my mum here and there. You understand? And now, that's how it's going to be. You understand? For a bit of time. And then I'm going to see if I can do it for myself, if I can work a 9-to-5 job and hold a housing commission house for myself and just work and do my own thing. Do you understand? So I have Mira around. I have Teta Mira, which is Mira Kunyage, around in Australia to support me and stuff like that. I have a social worker and stuff like that to support me and stuff like that. So it's more how that road is asking for something. You understand? I'm asking for something to be alone. And I really like to be around familiar places in life where I've been most of my life and stuff like that, where I've been raised, because those places are much more easier to, let's say, navigate around. But when you go to a new place around the world, it's really, really much more difficult to get around. Do you understand? You don't know where to go, for example. You don't know what to do. You understand? I mean, things happen, but the thing is that traveling alone around the world is not the thing that you want to be doing. I mean, you understand? I promise you, it opens you up. I promise you now. I say go and experience it for yourself. But the thing is that eventually you're going to want to settle down somewhere. And I promise you, the way you want to settle down is where you're much more familiar with that territory. You understand? Then when you're surrounded by new places and new things where you've never experienced it and where you've never been. You understand? And you have to understand that it's much more different. That when you find yourself in those new places that you've never been, approach it gets uncomfortable. You understand? The thing is that it's growth, and that's a good thing. But the thing is that what I'm saying is that, for example, myself, I'd rather live in Sydney, Australia than live anywhere else around the world, because I'm much more familiar with Sydney, Australia than anywhere else around the world. And now around Australia, because I've traveled Australia, you understand, I'm familiar with Australia. You understand? I'm familiar with all of the places around Australia, because I went around Australia on my own. You understand? And I can live anywhere around Australia that I want. It's no problem. So the more places you travel to on your own, the more you can navigate yourself to do a better job and to go and have a good day for yourself and to really, really find something to do for yourself. Do you understand? So, for example, now since I'm actually going to settle down in Sydney for Australia, I'm gonna settle down in Sydney, Australia. I'm not gonna be with my mum long term. You understand? I'm gonna be with myself long term, and it's much better to be by myself than to be with my mum, for example, because my mum wants to give me everything of herself, but she's gonna give everything to me anyway. So the thing is that it's much more how I'd rather be alone. And I'm going to tell my mum, and she's going to be upset about that. But she's going to understand. I'm going to say to my mum, hey, listen, I want to be alone for a bit. I want to grow myself. I want to be living alone. And she's going to say, but what type of life is that? You're going to have nobody there and stuff like that. I'm going to be like, yeah, but I'm going to be alone. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to work a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to try to hold this house. I'm going to try to do things after the mirror, yeah, and stuff like that. And things are going to work out for me, do you understand? But when you're traveling around the world and you're doing things, it gets fun, do you understand? The thing is that you have to travel a lot, do you understand? And God's given me everything for free, do you understand? I cannot complain with what life I have right now, because God gave me a life for free. I mean, everything that I've been given for free. I gain all those experiences for free. I gained all that money for free. I mean, God's given me so much for free. Yes, and I have to be grateful for that. Yes, but there's things that God hasn't given me. Like, for example, He hasn't sent me a woman yet. I mean, yes, and there's no woman for me at the moment. There's no kids for me at the moment. There's no better body for me at the moment. But that's the thing about me. I have to create that better body for myself. Yes, and that's something that I have to do. But for example, God has to take me off the medication so I can lose weight. Apparently now God's going to do that for me. And the thing is that God's always on your side. Just remember that. And I'm not upset. I'm not upset that I don't have a girlfriend, you know. But when I see other people have a girlfriend, it's like, why not me? I mean, why not me have a girlfriend? Do you understand? I mean, what's up with these women? I mean, why don't they want me? Do you understand? I mean, why don't they come for me? But then I look at Jesus Christ and I say, well, Jesus Christ didn't have a girlfriend. You understand? I mean, so there's nothing to be ashamed about. You understand? So I'll be strong alone. And then that's where I say, God says, be strong alone. Be someone who can be alone. You understand? So maybe that's the message that God's sending me. For example, God's sending me the message, hey, Danny, I'm not sending you a woman yet because I want you to be alone. See, that's why I say, guys, that I have to do better for myself. I have to actually grow. I have to become the person that I want to be. And the only way that I can do that is to life coach more, is to be able to life coach. The more I can, the better. You know, because it opens up a door for myself to plan my life, to tell my life what to do. You understand? Because most people won't listen to me and what I have to say. But the thing is that I will listen to myself. You understand? And the thing is that if you don't listen to yourself, then nobody else is going to listen to you. You understand? So be the first one that listens to you first, and then make sure that other people listen to you as well. You understand? That's what you need to do. So in life, I realize now, since I'm actually much more grown up, I'm much more able to withstand and to provide for my family and all that. I'm much more able to break through barriers, much more able to do things on my own. I'm much more able to handle life at a better level. Do you understand? So that's how it is. So I grow through better ways now. I see it's much more about life now. So when you're growing yourself, when you're doing things around specialty in terms of special ways of growing, when you're really encouraging yourself to grow, you have to always become that number one version of yourself, because that's the only way that you can actually do anything in life. I mean, it's much better to be your best version than to be your worst version. I promise you that now. And I'm saying that from experience. You understand? So, for example, now it's much more just talk words. You understand? Talk anything that you can to other people. You understand? The more you can do that, the better. But you do that through audio programs and through video programs, and you upload it to YouTube and you just put a title to it and just move on. You understand? That's all you do. And you upload everything in terms of quotes and all that content that you're doing for free. You upload everything online. You help yourself like that. But I see how many people are missing out on that. I mean, they're not life coaching anybody but themselves. You understand? And that's very selfish. You understand? They're very selfish with information. They just want all the information for themselves without having to teach others that information. You understand? So you have to understand that the more you give of yourself, the more you shall have. You understand? So you have to grow yourself in the best kind of way possible. So right now I realize now is the time for me to grow all the time. And it's time for me to actually just do better. You understand? I have to do better. I have to really grow. And nothing else, guys. I promise that's what you need to do all the time. So anyway, guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed my audio program over here. I hope that you listen to more of my programs and stuff like that so I can teach you more, and see you guys in the next programs.